I want to know, like, what were your first impressions of me? Because, you know, we're two Leos. We probably normally shouldn't mix, right?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I'm trying to think, though, because I was thinking about, like, the first time we met, and I don't think we really did connect much. But, I mean, you were super nice. Like, I think you, like, brought gifts for everybody.
I did.
Yeah. So that, like, definitely stood out. That was really sweet. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, that's definitely a person that thinks of other people and tries to bring joy to other people.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I received that. Yeah, I thought you were just this powerhouse force of nature. And I think a lot of women could potentially get intimidated by that, maybe.
I've had that experience a time or two in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And because I think I am Leo, like yourself, you know, I saw a lot of myself in you. And so it just was, of course I liked you.
Of course. Thank you.
Now, so what do you do for work?
I am a hairstylist. I also occasionally teach yoga, and I have just started practicing Reiki.
So I kind of wanted to go into what made you become a hairstylist.
I don't do well being told what to do.
Okay.
So it gives me a lot of freedom as far as my schedule, what I want to do, who I get to spend my days with. And then, like, there's a huge creativity aspect to it that I really enjoy. I also really like to just bring out what I see in other people as their inner beauty and let that be like a physical thing also.
Yeah.
Really enhance that. And I also like to connect with people, like have deep, meaningful conversations.
Well, I would imagine when you're touching someone's head, it is kind of intimate. And do you have a lot of female clientele?
I do. I do have a fair amount of male clientele also. Probably more so than the other people in my salon. But I just enjoy men's cuts and male clients. Because, I think we've all had the experience that sometimes women relationships are hard. So...
Well, and I want to dive deeper into female relationships because I think you and I have been on this spiritual journey for a while now. And one of my big blocks has been trusting women. And I was curious if you had that experience and how did you kind of overcome that and learn to trust women a little more?
I would say that's a daily practice. Yeah, definitely. I mean, starting with my relationship with the women in my family, I've had a really hard time trusting women. And then I've just been shown over and over that women hurt each other. So it wasn't until I got to be a little more, I wouldn't say confident's the right word because I feel like I've always been confident, but just almost, I don't know how to explain it, a little bit easier to discern who I keep in my life. So I've pushed out some people, and a lot of women have kind of walked away or been pushed away. Because it has been hard. And like you were saying, I do get that I'm intimidating to some women, a lot of women. And so that brings in another aspect of competition. And that's really just like not what I've ever been about. So it's just hard to find genuine connection with somebody who sees you as opposition.
Right. Well, and I can completely relate to a lot of those same struggles and challenges. And, you know, it's been my experience or my journey because I'm still learning to trust women. I love the word you use, discernment, like deciding, like, and you even said to me, because you always give me such little nuggets and pearls of wisdom, but that, like, you don't have to trust someone right out of the gate to start a friendship with them. Like that builds and grows over time, and then you get to decide, is this somebody that I feel like being close with? And what I find so interesting is, like, if you look back over the history of time, we were sisters, literally. Like, we raised each other's kids, we cooked the meals together, we gathered all the food, you know, and it was just such a different vibe than it is today, where it's envy and competition and one-upping each other and this distrust. And I just wonder, like, where along the way were we told as women that we couldn't have that sisterhood? And I do feel that it's starting to come back. And maybe it's this confirmation bias because I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, see that. And who knows where it started. I mean, maybe it started with, like, suppression from men, and where they started to take away our power. So then our only power was whatever we could overcome with each other, you know, because they're not going to overcome a man.
Right.
Whereas I feel like in my lifetime, I definitely feel competitive with men in the same way I would be competitive with a woman, as far as, like, success goes, or even sports goes, you know, like, not necessarily like, oh, I'm better than this person, but I see us all as equals, so why would I not compete for something to bring in success?
Sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Well, you know, it would have been great if we were really bold and wanting to get vulnerable. We'd just sit here without any makeup and our hair a mess.
Right.
But, you know, like, there is a certain level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Pressure, almost, to look, when we're on camera,
you
to
know,
look a certain way.
Yeah, for sure. But also something I think about with that, like, I mean, we've been in the same room. All the conversation was had about, like, pressure on women in society and why women wear makeup and all of that. But also, there's an aspect of power when you look good and
That
you
is
feel
true.
good. So when, you know, like, I heard somebody say women only wear makeup for each other, they don't do it for men. And I'm like, oh, that's actually bullshit. Like, I do it for myself.
Yeah.
Because whenever I feel good, I'm stepping into my power.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I don't feel good without makeup on, but, like, I mean, there's studies that show that pretty people perform better.
Yeah.
So even if you're not pretty in your own, you know, like, if you feel pretty, that confidence is going to come out too.
Yeah, and you know, it was interesting. I don't remember who I was talking to, but they were talking about, like, how someone could be in their bathing suit, a woman could be in her bathing suit, and, like, not aesthetically look the way we've been kind of conditioned for an attractive female body, but that she has confidence and doesn't scurry to cover herself up and just walks out of the pool owning the. And it is so awe-inspiring, like, for me, like, that confidence really does come from within.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of it just kind of falls into place, you know? Well, and I like what you said, like, why wouldn't we want to take advantage of things that we not only like already possess, but that we can improve upon?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One of your questions, along the lines of, what did it say? Like, what challenges have I faced as a woman? I can't say that because I'm a woman, I face any particular challenges. You know, like, I can't say, I mean, aside from, like, awareness of men just being physically stronger than me if I was to be attacked. But I mean, as evident by my own experiences, I'm gonna fight back. So I never really felt like, because I'm a woman, I have this against me.
Gotcha.
In fact, I see that because I'm a woman, I get to use my beauty.
Almost as like it's like a superpower.
It is. Yeah, it totally is. Because, again, like, people respond to what they're attracted to.
Sure.
And I think, in my opinion at least, women are beautiful no matter what. Like, whatever your sexuality is, whatever your orientation is, there is something beautiful about the female being.
Yeah.
So why would I not use that? Why
like
would I not step into that power?
Yeah. As you know, going through this spiritual journey that you've been on for quite a few years, What do you think what advice might you give to someone who's just getting into this work and may have some of those same struggles or challenges?
I think it goes back to discernment, to knowing what feels good for you and what's okay for you, where your own boundaries are, and what that means to have those boundaries. For me, if I set a boundary, my boundary is my action. So, very long story short, I got in a little bit of a tiff with my mom recently. And I said, hey, I need you to know that my boundary is I'm not reaching out. I'm not going to be a part of this fake happy relationship and spending time with you when you treat me this way. So if I don't receive apology and change behavior, I'm not putting forth any more action. My action is to stop being a part of this.
My action's the inaction.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate that. And I think that you are one of those people in my life who I can really look to and know that you really honor and mean and hold boundaries. And that is more helpful to me than you could possibly know, because as you know, my struggle has been a little loose with boundaries, and often being in friendships that are not reciprocal. And you are really teaching me, and I'll get tearful because you really do. You do. You teach me how to hold firmer boundaries with people, and it's not out of lack of love.
Right. Well, and actually it's from love.
Right.
Like I'm making a stand for this growth.
Yeah.
Like,
and for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what does it mean if I've done all this work and I've gone through all these trials and tribulations and I've learned all these lessons, but I don't use the tools?
Yeah.
What's the fucking point?
Right.
Like, why would you? Yeah. What's the point? So, it's utilizing discernment, knowing what your boundaries are, and also knowing and being okay with not everybody's your friend, and that's fine. Like, you're not for everybody. Not everybody has to like you, and you don't have to like everybody else. And all of that can still come from a place of love.
Right. I was just getting ready to say, you can love everyone and wish them well. It doesn't mean you're their cup of tea and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think I've really struggled with that and wanting everybody to like me, you know, and self-betraying in the process to do things for people I didn't really want to do, you know, but to make sure that they liked me. And as I'm getting older and stepping more into my power, I really am starting to get I don't want to say I don't give a shit, because I still care. Yeah. But it's not going to define me as a person, whether you like me. Well,
and if you're sacrificing any part of your own integrity for somebody to like you, you're not even showing them that you like yourself.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be reciprocal.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, and that like attracts like, you know, that pretty much nails that on the head.
Yeah.
So what do you think is one of the most, it's hard to deduce it to just one, but one of the things that makes for a really successful friendship with women in particular?
A mirror. I like the beauty that I see in my friends, to know that it's a reflection of me and this is just us bouncing back and forth off each other. Like, that's so lovely. You know, there's levels of trust, there's levels of integrity and unconditional love, knowing that there's nothing you could do that I would not be your friend and I wouldn't be your person, you know, because I see you and I know you.
Yeah.
And if you are a mirror of me, I love every aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. And, you know, it's taken me every bit of 6-7 years to get to the place where when I see something, a quality in you that I'm like, man, I wish I had that and whatever. And it's like, I understand that it is a mirror and you're showing me that that is possible for me too, because it's already there. I just haven't tapped into it. And like, what a miraculous gift to be able to share that with other women. I mean, my female relationships are like a treasure to me, and I would not trade them for anything. And I feel like I've battled it out and worked really hard to scrape away all the old programming and stories to allow space for me to open my heart to all of you wonderful friends that I have made along the way. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, me too.
What has been like one of your bigger triggers with women? Like what, when in your unhealed version of Katelyn, what is something that primarily a woman could do that would really trigger you?
Any level of gossip really, really lights me up. Like I try to stay away from that because it's not growing anybody. And I understand there's like different, like just venting friend to friend.
Yeah.
But you can feel the vibration lower when it turns from venting to gossip.
Yeah.
And there's never any aspect of me that's going to be better because somebody else is not doing well.
Yeah. I love that. And to add to that, I think of like if someone is gossiping about someone else with you, number one, it's typically to grow closer to you. But two, that if they're doing that about someone else,
how can you trust?
The likelihood that they're going to then go and do that about you is pretty high. And, I'm certainly not perfect. There are times when I love me some juicy gossip, but I agree with you in that it is vibrationally low frequency. You know, it doesn't feel
and we're
good.
not perfect. Like,
right.
It's not like I'm ever going to be like, oh, God, ew, don't do that. But, like it's a conscious awareness every day, especially being a hairstylist, to stay out of that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to raise that bar because it doesn't make anybody better. It doesn't serve anything. It's just lowering the vibe. And
how do you protect your energy when you're at work and you have people just unloading heavy stories and telling you all about their trials and tribulations? Like, how do you get through that?
I am fortunate in that I'm at a point in my career where I truly love all my clients. There's nobody coming in that I'm like, oh, God, it's so-and-so. Unless they have a shitload of hair and I have to blow dry it. But that has nothing to do with them. But I also do feel like I put in a lot of work to get to that point. And a lot of that was just an energetic thing. Like, oh, this person, I know so-and-so can be kind of draining sometimes. So I just tell myself, I like put on a veil. And I protect myself because also my clients, their head is right at my heart through the whole service. So I have to just go into work protected. I don't want to say shielded because I'm still open, but knowing and being able, again, discernment, knowing what's mine and what's theirs. Because even the clients I love, sometimes shit happens and a loved one dies or their husband's cheated or, like, things can be heavy. Life is heavy, but just knowing that that doesn't have anything to do with me. And even if I feel drained at the end of the day, I've got a good self-care routine. I'll go home and take an Epsom salt bath. I'll meditate. I will, put the phone away, put the screens away, and just decompress.
I like that. I like that's a really healthy way to be grounded, to get out of the muck. I appreciate that. What do you think, or maybe you're in search of this now, but I know that you took some Reiki training, and I can only see how that would better your practice as a hairstylist. And but where do you really see your purpose going moving forward?
I mean, I've been, how do I say? Like, I feel like I've had the joy of watching all of my clients that have been with me throughout the years grow. And I'm not by any means taking full responsibility for that, but I know I played a role in it because I've seen them come to me with problems, helped them with solutions, So, like, I feel like I've just continually added to my tool belt of, I went to college for psychology and communications, and then I went to hair school, and now I do what I do. And the Reiki, the yoga instructor, all of these things are tools to learn how to continually help people see their own light and step into their own power. And to be in a role of leadership gives me the opportunity to just be an example, and I'm human too. I definitely still fuck up. I definitely still, I don't always follow my intuition, and I learned some really, really hard lessons because of that. But I think I'm authentic. My clients see that. My friends and family see that. So if anything, it's an example of how, hey guys, this is still possible. Like, shit can get really hard and really gross and really ugly, and you can come out better.
I love that. And I see that every day in our friendship with you. You really are here for that. And I'm here for it too. If you could give young Katelyn some advice, knowing what you know now, what would you say?
It is okay to be very different and to trust my inner knowing, because all of the hardest lessons I've learned, I can look back and say, oh, I did know. I did know. And I did know. And to trust that and to act upon that. And believe that, again, because I'm different, it's going to look different than what everybody else is doing.
I like that. And I'm hearing in that a little bit of like that self-betrayal, not listening to that inner knowing, that voice when something was like, this is off, this person's off, and just pushing through. I think that could be really valuable to a lot of people. And you have certainly had plenty of those experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have any advice for somebody who's just getting into spirituality and conscious living and being, what might that be?
To know that it is multifaceted and that it doesn't always look black and white, and that multiple truths can exist at one time, and we are all gifted with an inner knowing of what's best for us, and sometimes our life experiences don't create a strong foundation for that. So figuring out what it looks like for you as an individual to remember who you are.
I like that a lot. I think that can be really helpful. I wanted to add to that, for me, not putting someone on a pedestal has been a really important thing I've learned in this process, because as you're getting into the world of spirituality, you start meeting teachers and healers. And oftentimes we believe they know more than us, or that they're up here and we're down here. I mean, I've made that mistake. And what I've learned is that I have all the answers and solutions inside of me. A good healer will help bring those out.
I think also a good healer and a good teacher is never going to make you feel wrong.
Agreed.
That face you gotta do.
You got to keep that in there.
That's awesome. That's great.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming and sharing some time with us, and hopefully our message reaches women who have a little more restored faith in the fact that we are all sisters. And women relationships, female relationships truly are a gift.
And love is possible, you know? We can have love with each other.
Yeah.
even in times of turmoil.
Well, I love you.
I love you.